I don't even know if I want to start with a song on this one, Jamsters. Don't even know if I have it in me anymore. It's kind of the end of the line, right? Phoenix Suns, 17 points, 80, 37, 500 points to the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 3 at home, hoping, praying that this team could come through and put up a fight. And much akin to Game 1 and Game 2, they did in the first half. The second half begins, and the Phoenix Suns just begin to evaporate, and their season is all but over. No team has ever come back from 0-3 down. And if you were to ask me, Matthew, if this was the team that's going to do it, I would probably say you're full of shit.
Absolutely not the team. So heading into halftime, I said, don't go down by 8. Otherwise, it's going to be over. They gave up the 8-point lead to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it was over. I went down to get a hot dog. I did not want to come back up because I knew exactly what was going to happen. We were down by 7 at the half. So I'm like, it's already over. You can feel it. You can feel it from the fans. You can feel it from the team. You can just see it on them like, oh, shit, we have to make adjustments going into the second half. What the fuck are we going to do? That look on their face of just being lost. Heading into halftime, I'm like, this game is over this early. The last 2 games, the first 2 games, it was the third quarter. But this time, it was the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, it was, again, kind of a challenge that the Suns have had throughout this series is they aren't closing quarters, especially the halves. And what we've seen in the previous games is they were up, and they allowed Minnesota to get back into it right before the half. In this game, they were constantly fighting to try to stay into it, always down 2 or 3 points in that first half. And then a 7-0 run put the Suns down by a total of 9 points, and ultimately they were down by 6 at halftime. But it felt like this was their last stand in that first half. The second half begins, and as I mentioned, the team just couldn't hit shots, couldn't find the open looks, couldn't connect, while simultaneously playing the shit defense that we've kind of noticed. So this is the 600th episode of the Suns Jam Session podcast.
Is it really? Wow, yes. That's just beautiful. Well, hopefully 601 is a lot better. Hopefully we get to 602 within.
I feel like 602 will be like a season recap for the Phoenix Suns because I don't see what like stick a fork in this team, dude. I know. I'm done with this. Like I'm ready to start playing video games and just not going and watching this team for quite some time. So Scott Klaus, one of our elite jamsters in the chat, says, what a time for a 600th episode. Sorry, boys. It's funny, and I will say this in a little bit of self-reflection as we talk about what occurred here tonight. And again, for those of you who are watching, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Suns Jam Session podcast. My name is John Boyd. I'm the managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun. I'm joined by Matthew Lissy, my co-host in crime, who I've done 600 episodes. Kind of like we take some episodes off, and I know episode number 1, I was all by myself drinking alone in my garage once upon a time 5 years ago. But you can follow him at Matthew Lissy. You can follow me at Darth Boyd and read all of our writing at Bright Side of the Sun. But I think back to episode 1 and sitting in my garage and popping open a teeth cracking cold beer and just talking for like 20 minutes. That's what the first podcast was. And here we are, the 600th episode. The Suns just lost Game 3 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we're sitting on Media Row, credentialed with the Phoenix Suns because of our love and passion for this team. And although it sucks to feel this way after a loss, it's also nice to know that hard work, dedication, and having fun along the way has put us in a situation where we could sit here and talk to you, the Jamster faithful, after this game, whether you're watching or listening live. It's a bunch of emotions that you feel, and it's fun to do this, even though it kind of sucks. So, Matthew, I think it's time we start the show. Anything you want to say about 600?
I just want to say that during today's game and probably the last 2 games, I've been thinking about ways to be better next year with the pod being here at the game and different ways that we can actually connect with the Jamsters next year. So I'm excited for next year already. I know it's going to be a long-ass off-season figuring out these second apron shit. Matt HB can deal with that, but I'm excited for next year. I know this is probably going to be a sweep, but it's been a long ride. This season went by quick as hell. It was the quickest season that I can remember, so... we got one more episode, 601, and then after that, head into next year.
Well, and Matt Ishbia has plenty to think about this upcoming offseason. He was sitting courtside tonight, and he had a front row seat to the piped-in chants of defense and a crowd that was chanting, "Fire Frank Vogel." So, plenty to talk about. Pop them if you got them. Let's enjoy this Friday night together. It's going to be the last one we might have for quite some time. That's right. The Phoenix Suns lose Game 3 by a final score of 126 to 109. A 17-point loss. Not what you want, not what you expect. And it brings me to a question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask, is there any way that this team can come back from down 0-3?
No, because I explained it earlier where this team was done before halftime. It was over before halftime. That's how bad it gets here in Phoenix. So once it hits that, then all we can ask for is maybe for them to show up one quarter and then it'd be over by the end of the first quarter. That's how I see it happening. This team just knows for sure that they're done, that they're just not good enough. This Minnesota team plays with the Suns. They absolutely do. They're not probably as good as the Nuggets, but they are absolutely as good as a team that can make the Western Conference Finals and make the finals. So they're a team that knows that the Suns don't know what they're doing up there. They're a team that knows that the Phoenix Suns definitely don't have the personnel to compete with them right now and have the coaching, have the adjustments, all of that. So them playing with the Suns in this game in the second half was kind of hard to watch, disgusting as a Suns fan, but it just shows that this team will not make it to Game 5.
Shout out to Cameron Thompson, $2 in the super chat. Thank you, Cameron. Says, see you next season. And then, Suns. That's what Suns stands for. See you next season. Still my team. And I agree with you. And you're going to hear a lot of negative things about this team and things that, I don't even know how much I want to talk about tonight because we're saying the same things over and over and over again. And Saul's right. Most disappointed season ever. Yeah, because the expectations were so high with this team. And the things that you continually see, it's uncorrectable. And I don't know what the correction is or will be, but it will be something this offseason. My guess is Frank Vogel. My guess is Frankie is gone. Frankie Valley is going to be out of the valley because that's where you start. You're not going to get rid of all of these high-paid players that some you can trade, some you can't, and you're trying to build around a foundation. But even with this team playing the way that they are, and you sit there and you go, you know what, this feeling must suck. This feeling of disappointment, this feeling of failed expectations, this feeling that we're not going to compete anymore in the postseason, that we came up vastly short of our goals. It still almost feels like, even if that's the case and that's how they feel, that it doesn't translate to the hunger and fight that needs to occur next season for this team to be good or great. You see in this series, and I'll ask you this question, Matthew, how has it been for you watching and experiencing on the other side of the ball Anthony Edwards?
It's been incredible. I don't even want to say it. I mean, he's a freak. He's scary as hell. Man, in the first half, he absolutely did whatever he wanted in that Suns defense. If he wasn't scoring the ball, someone else was. The Wolves are missing a lot of wide open shots out of the hands of Anthony Edwards, who was passing the ball around the perimeter, crowding the lane, just dishing it out, seeing guys across the court. I'm like, what the fuck? It just all unfolded right in front of us. I'm like, dude, this guy is unstoppable. He absolutely was in the first half. I don't even know if he scored a point in the second half because it didn't matter because everyone was so focused on him that everybody else was so wide open. There were Suns players in the defensive end that were just so lollygagging, and I wouldn't say that because they're just so focused on Anthony Edwards to stop him that it took a lot of focus away from the other guys and left wide open shooters. So That's how good he is for this team. I know it sucks to say, and I know you and I had that thing before the playoffs, where both SGA, both Anthony Edwards are going to have great postseasons. These are the coming out parties for them, obviously young players,
It's
and it sucks
happening.
too because the Suns are supposed to have one of those guys too. We're supposed to have Booker, who's supposed to be that our guy, but then you see a guy like Edwards, it's like, damn, like that's another fucking level. That's impossible to stop with a guy that can pass like that. That's long, that defensively can do whatever, and then if you're on him defensively, he can get a pass around your ankles, around your knees, your stretched arms. He can do it all, and I know that sucks to hear, Suns fans, but he's an incredible player. Absolutely, I'm not gonna just knock him and say, "Oh, he sucks" because he's a Wolves player, but he's a great, fantastic player to watch.
And the fire in his belly. That's what the Suns haven't had this season. Is somebody with a fire in their belly. Bill has showed it at times. It's time. It's time. We felt it, but Anthony Edwards lives it. And to see him do what we didn't want to happen in the series at our expense, a young 22-year-old player having his coming out party in the postseason against the Phoenix Suns with their big three. The exact opposite of what we wanted to happen has happened. Anthony Edwards is an amazing talent, and it's one of those things where you sit and you watch this game and you appreciate basketball after you get over your fandom, and you go, this has just been amazing to watch this guy play. He had a down game too, but tonight, 36 total points, I believe is what he ended with. Yep, 12 of 23 shooting from the field, had 9 total rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, he just kind of did what he wanted to out there. His whole team was in foul trouble. That's what happened in this game. The Suns had 15 free throws in the first quarter to the Minnesota Timberwolves 4. Or maybe it was 6. I don't know. I think it was a +9. Whatever it be, they were living at the line, and they were still down 2 points at the end of the first quarter. Anthony Edwards was the only guy who wasn't in foul trouble, so he goes, fuck it, I'm going to take over this game. And he took over the game. Devin Booker, this entire postseason, has not had the ability to step up and take over a game. Bill Simmons tweeted out after the game, he's like, you know what? There's an interesting little subplot here. Anthony Edwards is taking Booker's spot for the 2 guard on the Team USA,
Yeah, and I think he mentioned on his podcast too. And I'm sorry, it was Trey from No Dunks. He mentioned it too. He's like, he's absolutely better than Booker, and he probably will be obviously the starter. It's one thing where you can kind of see Booker on the court where he just is kind of stuck, like in a basketball purgatory. He's like stuck there with this team where he thinks he should probably be there with Anthony Edwards on the same level, but he's getting passed up while he's just stuck with KD and Bradley Beal around him. He's like, I don't know what the fuck to do with these guys. I don't know what to do. I have no idea how to handle the ball, what play we're going to run. And, it just looks absolutely bad. And you just kind of wonder if he's hurt or something like that because he doesn't look like the same guy. So it sucks as a Suns fan to see that because you rely on him to be your future. And there's already been, and I know it's not legit, but there's been people talking about trading Book. And I know Bill Simmons brought it up, but he just said if we were to get swept, if we had no choice, if next season we do this again where we end up maybe not even making the playoffs and we're a play-in team, then do we end up trading Booker? Because you can't have Booker and Beal on this team. I believe it. I've seen it in the playoffs. I've seen it obviously this season. You can't have these 2 guys. It's one of those things where, the whole Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson thing. Yeah. I always was like, you can't have those guys on the same team. And I'm thinking the same thing with Booker and Beal now already.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And it's something, I mean, you go back to the beginning of the season, and that's what, last summer, those were the conversations that you and I were having was, is this the right move for the Suns? It's duplicitous. This is the same guy just on was in the Eastern Conference, but the Suns made a pass, went and got him. And here we are almost on the other side. We have one more game to lose. Who knows how many we won. Knowing the Suns, they'll drag it out. They'll win on fucking Sunday. Even though they've been fucking owned in this series, man. Fucking owned. But they'll drag it out. And then, then those conversations begin because it just doesn't make sense. And the experiment failed. Now, I've said this in the past that this is a 2-year experiment, right? That this is year 1, and then you see what kind of ancillary players you can put around your big 3, this big 3, to really fortify and fan the flames of their skill set. But there's a chemistry issue here. There's a give a fuck issue that is above all else the biggest challenge that the Suns need to navigate. And I don't know what the answer is. it's something that, we're going to be talking about all summer right here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. So just because the season will be over doesn't mean that all of our podcasts will end. We'll probably go live once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a year, and figure it out from there. Our goal is to have episode 610 by Christmas 2027.
Yeah. This whole thing just reminds me of the whole Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash thing and with the Lakers. It's like it's one and done. It didn't work because, like you said, there's not that give a fuck that you should see. You should see a competitive team. If you're not seeing that, we're getting blown out in the first round of the playoffs to a team that we handled in the regular season. Then yeah, there's a lot of issues there. Some team that could not get together, that could not get their full feet underneath them this whole season. And you have KD, who is aging, who's not going to be the same guy. Obviously, this year it's a good year, but he's not going to be that guy next year. And then I don't know. There's just a lot of questions, obviously.
A ton, and we still have a game to go. I don't know how much you want to delve into this game. I mean,
I was over it in my halftime when I had my hot dog, almost choking on that thing downstairs. I was like, it's not the walk up the flight of stairs. It's just me not wanting to watch this team anymore. So it's.
I know you came back up and you're I
was into it early, and they were missing those easy shots. They had a chance to probably go up by 10 or 12 in this game early. Missing those shots. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of that football team that's going to bring on the upset. This Sunday or something. If they drive down the field, they make their first touchdown, they get the extra point. Stop on defense, they drive right down the field again, but they settle for the field goal. Smart play, up by 10, they lose 35-10. That's the way the Suns are right now. They're like, they can't make this mistake. They can't lose the crowd that early because they can't get them back. This crowd, the first quarter, maybe part of the first quarter, they were into it.
They wanted it.
But then as soon as, just like I felt, they thought it was over, it was over. And they didn't get up even after that, even in the second half. They were still sitting down, and just Chick-fil-A was the only thing. And it's just so sad. It's so depressing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this crowd was ready to burst. And they were booing Minnesota every time they had the possession early on. But the Suns, in typical Suns fashion, couldn't hit a fucking shot to start the game. And they left their crowd standing there and starting that anxiousness. And I wrote an article about it for Bright Side of the Sun yesterday, where I'm talking about how Phoenix is going to be uneasy. This arena is a place that nightmares have occurred, where uneasiness is in the fabric of the seats and can be smelt from the floorboards because of the Game 7 mishap against the Dallas Mavericks and the John Paxson shot. I mean, there's so much that bad juju in this arena and with this fan base that we all know that the moment we express any semblance of joy, there will soon thereafter be a disappointment, some soul-snatching moment where you're like, oh, fuck, remember that 10 minutes when I was really excited? And that's just the life of a Suns fan. And tonight we were sitting here and I'm like, dude, and we were talking, it's like this team needs to come out and they need to impose their will and get this crowd behind them. Because if they do, this crowd, there was 3 times tonight where I actually could hear the crowd yelling defense and I didn't hear the stupid fucking piped in sound for once.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
First quarter. Yeah,
it ended after the first. And that was it. The Suns, they score 32 points in the first quarter, and then they score 21 in the second, 20 in the third. They're outscored 36-20 in the third quarter. All right, 16 points. They lose tonight by 17. They lost it all in that quarter. The halftime adjustments coming out after having given up that 7-0 run near the end of the first half and seeing the adjustments, it comes down to Frank. There will be no dancing tonight to that fucking drop, which for those of you who listen, that's normally what we do as it's playing because you can see us and we dance around it. I'm done with Frank, man. I'm 100% done with Frank Vogel. The And again, I know it comes down to the player and the players and their competitiveness and their fight, but I don't see the right adjustments time in and time out. I see him say those things in the post game pressers, and I can't wait to read the quotes. I'll probably read some of these while they're talking at some point, and he'll sit there and say, "Well, we'll try anything." He barely tried anything, man. He put Bol in for a little bit. Guess what happened? They attacked him defensively, but Bol gave them a boost. They gave the crowd a boost, and then he just never goes back to him again. He finally brought in Josh Okogie due to foul trouble, and Josh Okogie was out there putting in some effort out there. The Suns outscored the Minnesota Timberwolves 36-31 in the final quarter. Maybe if Okogie had been out there in the third, and again, we can play the what if game all fucking day. But the only thing that's not a what if is Frank Vogel will not be here next year. I can see it. There's Matt Ishbia is sitting here sidelines. He's probably staring over. He's like, this fucking clown doesn't know what he's doing. He's not pulling the right levers. He doesn't have this team ready ever. So I mean, do you think that Vogel will be around next year?
No, not at all. I think what the Suns will probably go to is, God, what is his name? The Clippers head coach. Down 1-2
Ty Lue?
Ty Lue. It might be a name that's out there.
That'd be amazing.
Because Frank Vogel has lost not only us, it's the team. I mean, Kevin Durant and Beal out there, the way they look, and Beal, our booker, of course, has been lost this series, and he just might not believe either, but he's frustrated as all hell. You can see Beal and KD, the look on their face, like, we're not going to win this series. We don't believe in what's going on the court. They obviously still don't know how to run any of the plays together. They're pointing each other around the court, showing each other where to go still. So they don't believe in what the coach is throwing out there. They don't. He lost the team. He's lost them for a while, and they have to struggle through the series to get it over with. And, dude, they have to get the guy, like, they have to make some quick adjustment, like, quick with the head coach, because obviously you can't do anything with the players. But the way the West is shaping up, man, and you got Wemby coming in, you got Zion, who's if he can stay healthy.
You got Anthony Edwards.
You got Lukey. You got Lukey
Doncic.
Loki. You got Anthony Edwards. You got Shea. You got teams that actually have their guys. Teams that have not missed, that have a chance to win a title going this year, next year, the following year. They have their core. They have their one or two guys to really help them actually cruise into the playoffs and then make it competitive. So the Suns have a lot of makeup ground that so quickly we were just on that side, and now we're like back on the other side looking at those six teams like, oh, fuck, like, can we be as dominant as them next year? That's the scary part, because you know for a fact that those other teams are going to get even better, and one of them might win a title this year. That's so frustrating, because the Wolves or the Thunder, maybe they have a chance to win the title. I don't care who makes it out of the West. Whoever makes it out of the West is probably going to beat the Boston Celtics. Celtics suck ass, and they don't believe in themselves. They have no confidence. So whoever makes it out of the West is probably going to win it. And the Thunder team has a chance. That Mavericks team has a chance. That's the frustrating part to me, is that all these teams in the West look so solid, and then we're just kind of at the bottom now. We're in the play-in. We barely made it out of the play-in, so we're that team now heading into next season.
With Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. And I see a Creepy Crawley from the Aussie Suns fan podcast. He says, it's not just Frank. Come on now. And I agree. I'm not disagreeing. It's a comedy of errors. There's 20 things wrong with this team. I could literally write an article on each thing that's wrong with this team, and it could get me through the entire summer, because there's that much shit wrong. But what always happens, the coach will be scapegoated, and I think that he is one of the issues, and he's one that will be corrected. So, let it be, then let it go, as Zach Bryan likes to say.
And you know what? It's the fakeness on his face in the interviews, kind of just the bullshitty look he has. And I know it's the media, but dude, if he is that way to the players, then it's fucking frustrating. And it's not really his on. Obviously, he doesn't make the adjustments we want to see, but the players aren't making the adjustments because they don't believe in the guy. You can tell they don't believe in him. So that's the reason he has to go, because he just lost the team.
One fun part of this game that was really interesting. Did you see that travel by Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, when the Suns needed every stop just to grab a lead.
Yeah. Here, for those of you who didn't see it, this is just watch this.
Season. Now comes up with a knockaway. Gobert in the open floor. Oh, gets away with extra.
So fucking blatant. I'll get to that on subreddit Stakeout.
I can't believe he had a fast break lay-in. That's fucking bullshit. That's crazy.
Neither could Wolves fans.
Has to be the first time. Has to be the first time that's ever happened.
Neither could Wolves fans. Going over some of the stats in this game, I will give the Suns credit where credit is due. They didn't lose the turnover battle. They only had 10 turnovers in this game, which led to 11 points. Which led to 21 points. The Minnesota Timberwolves had 14 turnovers. which led to only 11. But it was some other things, obviously, that killed Phoenix. They were killed on the rebounds, 50-28. Man, they've been getting boned on the boards. Total second chance points. I don't know where that stat is. It's around here somewhere. Second chance points. Boom. 19-8. 19-8 from 3-point land. 13 of 34. The Suns were 11 of 28. The Suns were 39.3%. They were better than they've been, but again, not enough. And I don't know why they weren't shooting threes. Again, once they started doing it at the end, all of a sudden they started shrinking the lead. There was that like 24 at one point. I mean, the Minnesota Timberwolves were up 24 in this game. I just don't know what else to say. Do you have anything else to say before I just do subreddit stakeout?
The rebounds themselves did suck, but a lot of them were kind of like the long ball rebounds. I kind of bounced out, and then a lot of them were tip outs. So the Suns, the sad part is that they did try. And then once they give up those rebounds, once they give up the second chance points and the fast breaks, and they can't get the lead, and they're down by 5 or 7 points, that's when they just give up. That's the bad part. I mean, the rebounds did suck, but it was not due to the Suns' effort. I feel like they were trying to box out. They gave their all in the first 1.5 quarters. And then as soon as it kind of tilts the other way and the momentum starts to slide, they're done. They're like, we can't do it. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to respond? They never can respond. So that's the frustrating part about the rebounds.
Yeah, and it happened every fucking game in this series. It's this.
Are you mute? There you go.
I don't know what happened there.
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I don't know what happened right there. But that's the same story. That's why I can't sit here for an hour and talk about this game and this team, because it's literally just, if you want to know what happened in this game, just watch our last episode and the 1-2 before that. But one thing
what's so funny is, really quick, before you get a subreddit or whatever, Nodos was talking about AI generated. Like, we can have AI generated fucking podcasts and just put little like quirks here or there, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just to our subreddit stakeout. It's the same thing too. It's the same exact thing. So all this could be just AI generated next year. That'd be fun. Sit back and just watch ourselves perform.
We're working on it. This should be interesting because there is a lot of people on the court, right? And I'm about to put on Batman mask.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Where is she? I hope no one looks up here awkwardly, because this is going to be they're going to kick me right out.
Let that smoke come from the ceiling again.
Like they did at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So here are some of the comments that were made in Minnesota tonight. Rudy sending the Euro step back 10 years with that one. Laughed my ass off. Rudy with 14 steps. Love it, baby. And this is the best one about that Rudy one. Rumor has it Rudy is still taking steps towards the basket as we speak. Cover your eyes. It's the Eubanks-Anderson matchup. Someone put one on Booker's chin. Bol deadass looks like an alien with his arms up. Crazy build. Just looking around, making sure no one's going to fucking... Am I doing okay? Okay. Suns on the floor more often than the glued girl. Suns motto... This is a good one. Suns motto is, it takes everything. LMAO. More like it takes 18 free throws to still be down at the half. Booker's the biggest fucking bum ever. He's such a diva bitch. Booker's nickname really needs to get changed to Lil Bitch in honor of the X-Pac he's got with me. I don't know what the fuck that means. Booker talks a lot for a guy who hasn't accomplished anything. And on that note, I just want to give a shout out to Matthew in Miss Lissy's 4th grade class. That one's for you, bud. I hope you didn't listen to the naughty words.
the Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
All right, what else do you want to talk about, Matthew?
So I'm guessing I have to bring that wig Sunday and sit here and do it. Well, I did it before. You know what's funny is I wonder if they can hear us down in the court. I wonder if it echoes.
No one looked up. So
okay. Otherwise, they would be. Well,
so Kevin Young's out there.
Game?
Kevin Young's out there with the entire BYU basketball team. Yeah.
You know what sucks is like we had the new receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and the other guy we got.
Welcome to the Valley, bud.
It's like, yeah, get used to the playoffs here, man. This is the way it is to be a Suns fan. No competition. Just straight up enjoy your drinks, and it'll be over soon.
Yeah, just your very high-priced drinks. But, 600 of these things, and we're still here feeling the same way we did in episode 1, where it's just like,
yeah,
hey, there's Sophie Cunningham. Here, she's coming down the stairs. Yeah. Matthew has a crush.
Oh my gosh, I know.
We should ask her to come be on the pod. Sophie!
You know what's funny is I was talking to this girl, she's 6'1". I think that's too tall. She's 6'1", though.
Yeah, but she's rocking like heels and everything.
Yeah, so she's probably like, jeez, okay.
She's like eye level with you. But yeah, I mean,
when I'm like this, hey, how's it going?
I'm up here with Batman. Wouldn't it be great if she came up here and that's right when you're doing the wig bit and she's like,
I always pictured Kevin Durant coming up here. He's so sick of watching our pod.
He's like, you sons of bitches. He's like, I done caught you. So I'll ask you this. So, looking forward to Game 4, which is going to be Sunday night right here at the Footprint Center, 6:30 p.m. Arizona time. Grayson Allen most likely is going to be out again. Didn't play today, and I think it's the right move that he didn't play today because he was hurt. I mean, that ankle did not look good, especially considering he sprained it the time before. Royce O'Neal gets the start tonight, and it was a decent game by Royce, relatively speaking, but, defensively, he wasn't really effective. He was 0 of 5 from the field, so he didn't do shit in that capacity. Is there any chance that Josh Okogie gets to start? Like, let's go back to the beginning of let's pretend it's last summer and we're trying to pick the 5th starter all over again.
We have nothing to lose, really. You got to throw it all out there. Like tonight when you saw more Bowl. So you have to see a lot of that because, like I said in the first 2 games, if you're losing these games like this and you're going to be down by 15 points with no give a fuck, you got to throw these other guys out there that can spark the crowd at least. Because you saw Bobo with 1 dunk tonight, man.
Yeah.
Everything he does, obviously, everyone's going crazy. So I would definitely make the adjustment to maybe start him, but just have him play more minutes. You can start O'Neal, but just really quick, too, I like the fact that, the Suns were getting a lot of wide open threes and they weren't really hitting him in the first quarter. Then they brought in Aaron Gordon, and I think that was a good move. Obviously, he's the first guy at the bench. Where Royce missed one, then they're like, oh, fuck, let's get Eric Gordon out there quick to get see if he can get going, and he did. Otherwise, it would have been over even earlier. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to more Okogie, man. He's my dude. I'm glad he got some playoff minutes tonight.
Yeah, I do too, because I think that he is an energy guy. That's always what he's been. It's always been his go-to is like, hey, I can bring some energy. I can get some offensive rebounds. It's sad that we're kind of at this point where we're like, it will change the course for the Phoenix Suns. It's Josh Okogie getting an opportunity to play. Like, I get that that's unfortunate that that's where we're at. And if that's the case, then so be it. Royce O'Neal just didn't have it tonight. As I mentioned, 0 of 5 from the field. And when you need, I mean, that's the Grayson Allen effect, right? Like, you definitely miss Grayson Allen, and it hurts your overall depth and the way that the bench can execute. So it's, oh man, I feel bad for Tony A. Carp in the chat. He just said, he goes, fuck me, though. I bought flights, hotel, and a ticket for Game 4. Well, if we're at the game, man, hit us up. We'll say hi.
Yeah, dude, hit us up. I don't feel like anybody hit us up yet. Except for Matthew and Miss Lissy's class. That's pretty cool. I thought you were talking about me. I'm like, wait, am I in Miss Lissy? Oh, no, I'm not. Like, wait, am I in school?
What are we going to do with Matthew? One thing I do want to play for everybody real quick is what Bradley Beal had to say in the post-game presser. and I want to kind of hear what your thoughts are on this. It's a pretty long clip, but he had a lot to say, so it's going to be one of those things where, it's interesting to see how these guys take it. So let's go down to Bradley Beal.
Brad, over the season, we've seen you guys put together good stretches on either end of the court, but sustainability has been the main issue. What has that been like as a player over the course of the year? Because, for example, tonight, the threes are getting up, you're getting to the line, and then the middle quarters, that faded away. Just what has that been like? Where do you think the disconnect has happened for that to occur?
I'm not really sure what happens in those instances. But, I know for majority of it, we do have times in which adversity hits and, we'll kind of just get flat, We got to get out of that, get away from that. We have to continue to compete, continue to push. Teams are going to go on their runs just like we go on our runs. That's the game. Why it happens, I wish I had an answer. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but, at the end of the day, we just control what we control, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we try to do a little too much, and that hurts us. Sometimes our effort isn't there, and that hurts us too. So it's tough.
Can you describe the frustration when you don't know when it's going to click into place? Because, again, tonight it was there.
I'm not going to sit here and just say I cuss everybody out or I'm beyond mad. I'm frustrated about it, but just got to keep trying to get better, keep working at it, keep improving. I'm always a competitor and I love to win. I hate losing, just like everybody in that locker room. But it's up to us, we got to figure it out and beyond quickly.
You mentioned that adversity part and it being difficult to explain how that happens, but in your mind, is that from just maybe a lack of familiarity with guys, lack of time on floor together? Is it just...
I don't like making that excuse, man. We got to go hoop at the end of the day. They lace them up just like we do. They know our game just like we know their game. It comes down to who wants it the most, not X's and O's and who's guarding who or what we're running on offense. It's about mano y mano and winning the matchup in front of you, beating that guy and beating that team and who wants it the most. It's the playoffs, y'all. We know how this is. It's physical. It's tough. It's tough for teams to score over 100-plus points. And, that's the type of hoops that we have. But we're not dialing in on the defensive end, which is really kicking our butts.
To find more of that fight, is that a collective thing that has to happen? Is it someone stepping up? I'm just curious in your career what it's been to kind of get over that type of thing.
Oh, it's definitely a collective thing. One guy's not going to get you over that hump. One coach isn't going to get you over that hump. It's a collective group from everybody. Everybody has to step up and give more, I think what I love most is we're willing to do that. I think everybody's bought into that. So it's not the most ideal situation to be in, obviously, but we are where we are. And all you can do is face it head on. You can't run from it.
Is there a sense of pride in that locker room right now to tell yourselves we're not getting swept at home on Sunday?
It's damn sure my mom said. I've never been swept a day in my life, so I'll be damned if that happens. It's going to be a tough-ass game, and I'm sure that's going to be in the back of their mind. It's something that they want to go out and get done. I've been in a 3-0 situation, and you just want to just put that team to bed. So they're going to come out playing their best basketball on Sunday, and we got to make sure that we match their intensity, if not better, and be prepared to win the game.
Thoughts on that, Matthew?
No, it's just frustrating. It brings you back to the beginning of the game where he came out and he was just flexing. He was ready to go. Bradley Beal obviously really wanted it. His body language did change, and Booker was kind of trying to pump him up, but they weren't making eye contact. So he did say, he's like, I don't know what happens during those times. I don't think any of us know. Everyone knows that probably this is just not the right fit for everybody. So that pretty much sucks because we really wanted it to work. But the way that Beal came out today, man, it just was like, oh, man, just please, come on, just win this game. Come on, make this a series. I really want this to work with this team. But like you said, something just happens where again, Booker said it in after game 2. He's like, we get down and we can't get back up. We can't fight back whenever adversity hits. That's a hard thing to do on this team because you just like, okay, well, who does it come from? It's just a collective, but it's like it can't come from the coach because Frank Vogel's yelling on the side. He's trying to do as much as he can, whatever. These guys just they lose it and they're looking around trying to find somebody. And then when Booker does try to get up and try to like clap his hands and get everybody back into it, it doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense because no one's actually responding to him. So it's a tough thing to hear because it still makes you think like, okay, maybe game 4 they can come back. But I'm just like, I gotta stop believing in it. It's super sad.
Story of the season. Puzzled, not knowing what, why, or how to fix the issues. And to hear those statements, like you said, like when adversity hits, we sometimes don't know how to respond. And we're at this point in the season. Unacceptable. I mean, that's what it is. It's
how is that a thing though? I don't want to understand.
It shouldn't be, but it is. And that's the Phoenix Suns this season. So I don't have anything else to say. Phoenix Suns lose game 4. We'll see what happens, see if they have any fight left in them. And if they do, they're just prolonging the inevitable, in my opinion. I tweeted it out today, 9:29 p.m., the 26th of April 2024. This season, DOA. It's dead on arrival. It's over. They're just done. And that's just the way it is. It sucks. And, we're Suns fans, so it's not like – I'll ask you this. Is it better to go out like this or like the Game 7 loss to Dallas?
I don't know. I feel like I feel like ever since then it's all been the same. So
yeah,
it's all kind of just been the same kind of blowout. Like, you know what I mean? It's not in points, not in game situations, not in the fourth quarter, but as a whole collective since that game, it's all been the same. It feels like.
And the way they make you feel. So we hope we made you feel a little bit better.
I'm so depressed. I'll still come Sunday though if we get in.
Yeah. Me too. I'll be here for the funeral. On that note, Jamsters and anybody watching, if you get a chance, please stop by our YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe if you can. We're continuing to see that subscription account or number rise, and it's great to see. And it's great to get the support from you for what we do. We do love doing it, despite the frustrating nights that the Suns lay on us from time to time. And this is another one of those just kind of heartless, and that's probably the best way I could describe this season is heartless. So, if you like to read my writing at Bright Side of the Sun. I've been really putting some facetious articles out there. I feel like is the best way to say it. I'm just kind of, I really utilize Bright Side of the Sun as like a sounding point and a therapy place. I come on here, we react emotionally, and then I take everything and then I write funny words and I make fun of it.
There's more comments and more interactions. This team sucks. When they're mediocre like this year, no, you know what I mean? Like later in the year, it's kind of like, But now that they suck, there's going to be a lot more volume. I feel like.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So any last words before we get out of here?
No, see you Sunday night. Hopefully we're a little bit happier. I want to go back to Minnesota. Have a good night. Everyone go home, love your family.
Do it. Go on, love your family.
Suns jam session, post-game thrill. John and Matthew, podcast skill. Analyzing games with comedic flair. Since 2019, they've been right here. Suns jam session, post-game pod. Talking Suns ball with the Jamster squad. From the Valley of the Sun, spreading the word. Original podcast, haven't you heard? Subreddit stakeout behind enemy lines. Batman, Valley, Lissy, and Curry combined. Reporting live with jokes to the brain. Adding flavor to the podcast game. Suns jam session, post-game pod. Talking Suns ball with the Jamster squad. From the Valley of the Sun, spreading the word. Original podcast, haven't you heard? Subreddit stakeout behind enemy lines. Batman, Valley, Lissy, and Kermit combined. Reporting live with jokes to the brain. Added flavor to the podcast game. Suns jam session, post-game pod. Talking Suns ball with the Jamster squad. From the Valley of the Sun, spreading the word. Original podcast, haven't you heard? runs through the day and the night. After every game, don't miss the beat. Sun's Jam Session is gonna bring the heat. John and Matthew lead